Hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join me back out on the bank and we're in search of carp on the surface. You do join me back on the banks of the beautiful Belmont estate, and again today we're going to be concentrating on the banks of Rowan, Willow and Yew Tree. So yesterday I was back on the pool, and as you can see on screen the conditions were much worse. Howling wind, hail, persevering, no baiting up a margin spot. Did manage to get a bend in the rod and get a few fish feeding. As you can see on screen now, the result was a beautiful common carp in fin perfect condition. On the way off the complex I did notice a few fish rising in the edge. I decided to have a go on the top and managed to pick up this beautiful fully scaled mirror. So after catching that carp on the surface last night on bread, the simplest of baits, I couldn't wait to get back this morning with the forecast to be a bit of warmer weather, a bit of sun. The wind is still about, but I couldn't wait to get back out on the bank and see if we could catch a couple of carp on floating crust. So we're in the first swim of the day. Like you can see, got the bare essentials, my rod. I've just put a bit of bread down here, and there has been one or two carp already coming up. It's very early on, it's about 11 o'clock. Been having a good chat to a couple of mates on the pools. See there's blue skies, hopefully no more rain. You can see there Mr. Carp is most definitely finding that bread. So let's waste no time at all, let's have a cast. They're not taking it really confidently, but you can see there's a carp there just coming up and mouthing some of the pieces, so it might not be a day we get loads of bites, but it is only going to get warmer as today goes on. So there's every opportunity that we're going to get more around the pool. But it is just about coming out, you know, it's still in March. We've baited up a spot over there where that goose is, that kind of the goose over there. So we have got options if we need to go on the bottom. The swirls coming up down there, got a lovely bend in this glide, the 13-foot version. A little bit of floating line and a hook. The first one of the day, that sun's come out to grace it as well, and just come in what 5-10 minutes after casting in. It's in March and it's balmy to be catching fish off the top, but it's all about those windows of opportunity, and great to get a fish so early on. What we'll do is we'll get it straight back, we'll put a bit more bread in. We might go and nip and check the spot down the margin to see if them fish have been in. But, well, great start. So before I did the intro, that is the bait that I put on the spot down the margin. See, there's a tin of corn in there, there's some of the little gem pellets. I've literally used the juice from the corn, there's no water in there. And I've crumbled up some 15mm boilies, and they're the seafood ones from Hinders. It's a bait that I'm hoping to use this year for the barbel, and I'm hoping to do some catfishing as well. But confidence plays a huge part, so by, you know, putting it in my mix now and getting bites on it hopefully on the smaller pools, it'll build that confidence that you need when you're waiting longer for the bite. But yeah, that is a little bit of a mix that I've put down in the margin, and we'll go and take a look at that now. It's been about an hour since I put bait on this spot here, and I use corn mainly for the visual, so I can see the bait's gone, and it's all gone because I literally put in 3 handfuls before, like that, and I can see all that corn is gone. There's a backup, you know, in case the floater fishing doesn't work. So a bit more bait on and then we'll leave it, but the signs are that Mr. Carp has definitely been in. So there's one carp been coming up that I've called Old Rubber Lips and he looked bigger than all the others, and I just turned the GoPro off because, you know, nothing much was happening, and he come up and wolfed the bread in one big go, and I have to say it's the most underwhelming fight I've ever had. He's just kind of wallowing about. But I was just saying to the bailiff who's just been on there that if I got Old Rubber Lips I'd be happy today, and it looks like we've got him. Then we might have spoke too soon. I think he's realised what the game is and he's woken up a little bit. But yeah, great fun. Sun just behind them clouds, a bend in the rod and a carp on the other end. How can you not be a happy man? There we go, old Rubber Lips himself, definitely the one. You can see there, like a hoover, but he's on the bank now and we got him. And I was hoping we'd slip him up today. He was missing the odd bit of bread, and it's far from prolific down there. You know, there's a group comes in and then Rubber Lips seems to let them go in and get away with it. But by not putting any more bread in, he's obviously thought the rest have been and it's safe. Travelling super light, got me bit bag there from Cornham with all my bread in and all my bits and pieces. Opportunistic landing net, got me glide rod, a pouch here to put some bread in so it's around my waist so you're not fumbling about, can just load that up. And I've got bread, got my camera and my unhooking mat. Travelling light means you're more likely to move spots, and with this setup I can move around the pools. I can change setup so I can go from floating to a float setup if we want to try that spot we're baiting up. But yeah, super simple, opportunistic fishing. So to be honest with you, this bite has taken much longer to come. There hasn't been many coming up. There's been ones and twos, and there has been a ghosty coming up, probably the most frequent. And I did have to wait a bit for the bite, but I think it's actually the ghosty that we've hooked. So I think after this one what we'll do is we'll put a bit more bread down there. We've got a few hours of the day left and hopefully the warmest bits to come, and we'll go and have a mooch down the other end of the pool. We do run the risk obviously that anybody can turn up and just come here, and it is producing, so it is a risk, but hopefully on the back of the wind down there we can just begin to build another opportunity. So at this time of year, with everything waking up, it has been great fun to get these carp on floating crust. Seeing them come up and take that bread is what it's all about for me. What I'm doing now is I'm putting a bit of bread just down this margin. Any carp that are down here, it's going to keep them happy. But when we go down there, we'll hear or we can see if these carp come back. So we're down the other end of the pool now, and you can see over there Mr. Carp coming up for a bit of bread. There's been one or two here competing, but when that wind gets back up it seems to knock them back down again. But there's definitely a few in the area. And down here, which was our spot, I've seen a really big ghosty come in twice now. So they've definitely been going onto that spot. So we might put a float on later on and have a go. But I'm just going to keep baiting up that spot there, and hopefully we can get an opportunity on the top. But it's not like summer where they keep coming up pack-manning. It's only every now and again, and they'll all come up together and they disappear just as fast. There we go. We're watching Mr. Carp get away with it, and it's been a nightmare trying to hook these carp on floating crust. I can tell you that now. Absolute nightmare. They keep coming up. They're not coming up in the same spot all the time. And it has been an absolute nightmare trying to get them in the same area. You know, trying to get it on film as well, the take. So I've just set up a little float rig that we used yesterday on the other pool, and it hasn't taken too long for one of these carp to slip up. There was a nice one coming in, and I wonder whether it's that one. Adaptable, you know, a little box there with all little bits and pieces and a little bit of bait. We haven't put loads in, just enough to get the confidence that when they come in there'll be food there. And what a battle that guy put up. You can see there, simple little float, a little ledger, and it didn't take too long for him to slip up. Let's give him a rest. I'm going to have a rest, and then we'll take a look at him. So the whole point of that margin spot was to give me options during the day. It's been about an hour of going up and down that bank, struggling to get them on the top. The whole point of that spot as well was to get some confidence on that bait for later in the year for the barbel, catfish and carp. And this is going to work towards that, most definitely. A double figure carp, he's solid and he's been getting away with it. But a simple rig, and we'll have a look at that in a minute, has slipped him up. So like all the fishing that I do on the channel, it's always simple. Today it's been floating crust with a line and a hook, but if I'm going to change, it's got to be simple and easy to do. If you don't make it simple, you'll be reluctant to do it. So when I seen that carp in the margin, I've simply just put a Dinsmore shot on the line. I've got a 2 gram cordon quill. That's down to a little tiny bomb, a weight just to stop it going to the hook link, and it's all the way through, so it's 8-pound line all the way through, and that's to a size 10 hook. And this type of fishing at this time of year is about opportunities. I was walking up and down the bank, it's been difficult, the carp have been bobbing up all over the place, but making this nice little rig, having the foresight to put a bit of bait in the margin as a second plan, has come up trump. So no more bites before coming on the spot. 1 or 2 carp did come in, but there wasn't really that opportunistic bite opportunity like there was with that other one. I've put a bit more bread on the pool because I'm hoping as the day goes on, we are moving towards the end of the day, but a few more decide to come up to the top. I didn't really have much intention of fishing rowing, but you can just see there's 1 or 2 carp coming up to the top. Put a bit of bread in, the wind's pushing that way, so while they're not coming up on the pool behind, we might as well have a go for one of the carp in here. There you go. I said I didn't think it'd take too long, and just edging that into its mouth really. And that's why obviously we go on the bigger pools there, just to get slightly better fish. We had that nice fish on the bottom, but these ones on here, there's always a good little spot just to drop back onto for the quick bite. And we won't bother holding him up for camera. He's a little perfect little common, absolute mint, and great fun just teasing that bit of bread over the top of his head. Sometimes, you know, it takes you back to being a kid, where you're just trying to do anything to get a bite, and edging that bit of bread just over that carp's mouth took me right back to being a kid. There's one down there now. We could quite easily catch another, but I think we'll go to that spot we started on and see if there's another one on that spot. There we go. Just coming back onto this spot here, didn't take too long. Didn't make the mistake I made this morning by putting too much in, just enough to try and attract them and not give them too much choice. That hasn't taken too long for a set of lips to come up in what could be the last fish of the day. And this guy's definitely had his Weetabix. He is definitely out of his winter slumber. A lovely bend in the rod, and that clutch is as tight as I dare put it. Using my 13-foot rod, I've got over the top of the tree and we're into open water. There's a lot of snags down that margin and an island there, so definitely want to get this fish into this open water. And after sitting in that rain yesterday, I knew today there'd be opportunity, different conditions, and it just shows what a difference a day can make. At the start of last week's blog, I did say that this time of year is my least favourite, but I've thoroughly enjoyed these last 2 days. Yesterday stood in the rain, catching them 2 carp, and today, waking up this morning, I was really excited to get back out on the bank. And is there a better way to mark the arrival of spring than a bar of gold and the sun shining down? That brings this week's blog to an end. I want to thank you all very much for watching. Tight lines in your own fishing, and I'll catch you all next week. Tight lines.